Good morning, everyone. We'll just wait another minute or so as we let people trickle in. So happy you could be with us this morning. You might have seen that Hannah dropped in a link to to a PDF of the ethnic vegetable planting guide. So we're putting it there in case that is helpful for y'all to follow along, but you'll be getting a sneak peek of it during this presentation as well. We just ask that you keep yourselves on mute during this presentation because we are recording it. It will live on the LSAC website and maybe also on Southern's. We'll see if that's something y'all want to do, but at least the LSAC website. So please just keep yourselves on mute. And if you have any questions come up, Miss Mila and Stephanie, are you okay with questions in the chat? And maybe we can answer as you go, or there will definitely be some time at the end too. So maybe we'll just see what the question is and if it's relevant to what y'all are talking about. And I just want to mention that there will be some switching back and forth. So you'll see the presentation is up and you should be able to switch back and forth. So when Miss Mila and Stephanie are showing some of the plants, you might want to switch to the screen of them and come away from the shared screen, which you should have an option, I believe, at the top of your screen, or you can pin the Mila Berhane's little window as well. Go back and forth. Hannah, am I missing anything? Like that's all. Okay, great. Audrey, I'm going to kick it to you to really get us going for this presentation, but so glad y'all could be here.
So Maggie, we will put questions in the chat and we can take them during the presentation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As
they come up.
As they come up.
That's great. Lovely. So did y'all hear that? So throw your questions in the chat and we'll answer that, or our presenters will answer as we go through the presentation.
Yeah, we'll be going through lots of amazing crops today, y'all, and the research and the knowledge all really comes from these two amazing, knowledgeable women. Miss Stephanie, she has dedicated 14 years to Southern University, where she served as a horticulture specialist. She has led the development of more than 110 community and school gardens throughout the state. And Stephanie has overseen their SNAP Ed, Rooted in Wellness Gardening Program, and the USDA NIFA Out of the Mud program, which equips under-resourced young adults with skills in horticultural landscaping skills. She's a proud mother, and she's also in the works for her PhD in urban forestry at Southern. And then Miss Mila as well has been so knowledgeable, part of this building, and is been working at Southern University for 32 years. She's a senior research associate. She's concentrated on sustainable agriculture and greenhouse management, working on those sustainable agriculture issues with the vegetable production in Louisiana and fertility research, trueness to variety trials for crawfish waste and canaf research, pasture poultry, and small ruminant research. She's been teaching vegetable production and plant propagation, ornamental horticulture classes in the College of Agriculture and Family Consumer Science for 15 years. So a whole generation of farmers coming through her classes as she's instructed that Sustainable Urban Agriculture Certificate Program. Established community gardens around Louisiana since 1996 with Beretta, the Baton Rouge Big River Economic Agriculture Development Alliance, board of director and member for 3 terms, and as president of that Beretta Advisory Board, and then members of that board of directors for Southern Sustainable Agriculture Working Groups for 2 terms. She was a state coordinator for the state of Louisiana SARE, Research and Education, and the owner and operator of Green Hand Nursery with her husband. So a huge amount of knowledge in this room to really make this Ethnic Growers Guide come to fruition. And we are so grateful to have them and their knowledge in the room with us and in the state of Louisiana. So with that, I'll turn it over to y'all to get us started.
Thank you so much. And thank you for this opportunity. I just want to dive into this ethnic vegetable planting guide and how it really came about. Basically, Mila is a mentor of mine, as she is for many, many others in the state of Louisiana. And I know that we've learned so much from her. And it came to a point where I said, we need to put this down in a book. It is sacred knowledge, and we need to be able to pass it out to, you know, the state of Louisiana and beyond. So basically, this is Miss Mila's knowledge and Andeb, and we sat down and I did the typing. She told me what it was, some recipes, when to do it, how to do it, when they've done it. And so this is a really beautiful, very comprehensive, I haven't seen anything like this out there, guide on different vegetables that you can grow in our subtropical climate here in Louisiana, from really south to north. And they're all items that I know Miss Mila and Andeb have grown here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So there's proof. We're going to talk about it today. And I hope that, like we mentioned, when you have questions, please put them in the chat, and we'll be more than happy to answer every question that you all have today. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be talking about these ethnic vegetables. I think something I always mention is that mostly for us non-born in this country, for any ethnic group, the last thing we lose is the food and the music. So we always wish we can have our original food, our local food. And so I think that's what it got us in to learn more about not only my ethnicity, but other ethnic groups. And so here we are. So I always like to include some census data. So of course, we see right here, like in 2020, the U.S. population was very racially and ethnically diverse. And so based on that, we are going to talk about those ethnic vegetables. So why growing ethnic vegetables? And this is, I hope, some of the audience are interested in making a penny and growing those vegetables because there is money. One of the reasons is they have high value. Not everybody grow this stuff, so you can ask your price. Of course, there is less competition. You don't need too much acreage. And main reason probably is the substitute for out-of-season conventional vegetables. Mostly with the change of weather, this climate change, we have seen that something so simple like zucchini and yellow squash is getting harder to grow. But there are another vegetables like the one that you see in the picture right there is a edible gourd. Is way much easier to grow it. No insects. So I think we have to start thinking forward and see what is going to replace all those vegetables that they are very hard to grow with the climate change. So we say first things first. Number one, and again, I'm talking for, let's say, some marketing thing. Of course, if you grow it for yourself, that's fine. You just try whatever you want. But if we are doing for market, we have to know the clientele. Right here in Baton Rouge, we are lucky, it's a college town. So we have two big universities, LSU and Southern. And of course, there are so many different ethnic groups, which they always look for their ethnic food. So we say, find your clientele, and numbers, probably number one thing is educate yourself. As a matter of fact, we just were talking with Stephanie this morning, and so we were talking about taro, and something else, a different name. And so it's like we always are learning. So educate yourself. And of course, we evaluate the market. Like I'm saying, right here, the farmers market is great because we have the clientele right there. And the other thing is, if you can grow your vegetables, any vegetable, you can grow ethnic vegetables. It's a matter of what you are growing right there. So, and this is what is very important. We try to learn the name of the ethnic vegetable for each specific group. One big example is like callaloo. It depending where you are in the Caribbean, in Latin America, it has different name. And so if you don't know what is the name for that specific group, of course, it's confusion. My example is when I was start growing all these ethnic vegetables, I had different people from the Caribbean, and they place an order and I bring them the wrong thing all the time. And so I got educated the hard way. So I had to learn all those names. So it's very important to know what is called depending on where you are, what country you are talking to. You see the picture right here. This is a pigeon pea. Depending on where you are, sometimes are gandules, sometimes are alberjas, another time is pigeon peas, gungo beans. So we have to know in order for people to know what we are growing. And very important is find recipes, because if I don't know how to cook them, if I don't try it myself, how I'm going to make you try them? We're looking right here at Southern University. We have a very, what can I say? A group that will try anything. I will try to cook. So like we do it right here, and we try. So here we have a little example of what vegetables have more demand in general. And I'm not talking only in the South, it's in general all over the States. Chinese people always look for baby pak choy, the oriental eggplant, and smooth loofah. Asian look for bottle gourds, bitter melon, and Indian eggplant, which is different than the oriental eggplant. That's another thing that is, not all eggplants are the same. Of course, Mexicans, and probably, and I bring it to Mexicans specifically because Latin America is such a large area, and for one example is like the rest of Latin America, we don't eat nopales. It's only the Mexican who eat it. So that's something that we have to know. And not all of us we eat tacos. So it's like that's something that we really is important to know when we are marketing. Tomatillos, jalapeno peppers, and there are so many more vegetables. But I mentioned this one because those are included in the guide. Puerto Ricans, so bell peppers, they call them ají dulce. If you sell them bell peppers, they won't look for the bell pepper, they look for ají. Batatas is sweet potatoes, and pepinillos are pickling cucumbers. So you see that's a little example of what we're talking about. So with that one, we will share right here, and I'll let Stephanie talk about some of those vegetables right here.
Okay, and Mila brought in a lot of plants and the fruit off of them as well. So when we're doing a screen and there's a plant, just let me know and I'll show everyone.
Yes.
So in the guide, well, right there. I believe, right, we have it listed in the chat to get to the link on our website on suagcenter.com. You can click the link and then kind of follow along with the digital copy, and you can also print it out and have it on hand. But basically we'll be going through a majority of the vegetables in the guide, and the first one that we talk about is amaranth. And just like Mila said, there are different names in different countries. So for this amaranth, we'll call it callaloo. And so amaranth greens are high in protein, iron, and calcium. They're often substituted for spinach, and they have a similar earthy flavor. Native to America, popular in Asia, Africa, and Caribbean. Amaranth is also a green that you can grow in the summertime here in Louisiana and in the deep south. We're used to growing greens like collard greens and mustard greens during the winter time, but you can still get your greens in the summertime by growing callaloo and a couple of the other vegetables that we'll be going over in the guide. And if there are questions, just let us know, guys. Amaranth growing and nutritional information. So you plant amaranth in the early spring, right around now or a little earlier. It can actually reseed itself once you let it grow up and seed. You can direct seed or transplant. Ideally, you'd like to have them about a foot apart, and you continue harvesting off the top, the young tender leaves, to be able to cook those. They go well in salads, soups, and stir fries. You can eat it raw. You can boil, steam, saute until tender. The stalks take a little longer to cook, and the seeds are used as grain and are popped. Do we have any questions about amaranth? Okay, we're gonna keep rolling. I'm gonna hand it to you.
Okay. So so we're talking about bitter melons. And so these are mostly popular probably in, I know there are so many dishes in Japanese cuisine, but all over Asia. This is something I have to confess. I haven't learned how to eat this thing. It's too bitter for me. But it's very, they use it for medicinal purpose. And I know if you cook it right, probably is all the bitterness is gone. But as now is also used as medicinal plant for diabetes to lower the glucose. So they sell tablets, and so very easy to grow at this time of the year. And as you see right here, it's native to India, but it has spread all over the Asian continent, of course, all over, I will say all over the world. It's rich in iron, contains twice the beta carotene of broccoli, twice the calcium of spinach, and twice the potassium of banana. So you are eating bitter melon, you don't need to eat all those fruits and stuff. They have a very much demand. Also, not only the fruit is used, but also the leaves. I know in some countries, like one example is in Jamaica, the leaves are used to lower fever. So it has so many medicinal properties. And also there is a tea that you can use. They call it bitter leaf tea or something like that. And so so many uses. Is an annual. They like full sun, well drained soil, and so and it's a beautiful plant. It has pretty yellow flowers, and so that's something that is very prolific too.
Are the
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, are the leaves as bitter as the fruit themselves?
Yes, they are. Well, Stephanie is talking about the broccoli rabe. I think I'm going to step up and look for the tea bags because it's you find it in the health food store, and so yeah, it makes tea, but it's bitter also.
And so being able to put different plants like this in our home gardens or at community gardens or at schools, being sure to include different vegetables from different countries. Of course, representation matters, right? So if there's a new student from somewhere else and they see a bitter melon and it reminds them of something their grandma had, it's just all these things connect and it becomes full circle of representation mattering and also inclusion. So inclusion goes, it can go so far, and we're exploring it here in the garden and why that's really, really important when we're working at schools or in community gardens. And bitter melon is a really beautiful plant that you can stake, and it is a vining plant, and it just looks really lovely in a garden. So our next vegetable we'll talk about is broccoli rabe. You can find it on page 6 of the Ethnic Vegetable Planting Guide. So here, as it states, it's truly a vegetable with many names around the world. Broccoli rabe is not related to broccoli, even though it looks exactly like it. Closely related to turnips, which are probably why the leaves look like turnip greens whenever you're growing it. So some of the different names are rabe, spring rabe, turnip broccoli, tattycat, Italian or Chinese broccoli, broccoli rape, broccoli de rabe, So many, many names across the world. You've seen it, you've probably eaten it, and it's a little bit deceiving because it is closely related to turnips rather than broccoli. No, no teeth. No teeth. All right, the next one is cactus, and with this, we're talking about both the fruit and the leaves. And these photos right here are taken, if I'm
At
not mistaken,
the Hispanic market in Baton Rouge.
so you can see the leaves down here on the bottom left, the pads that are full, and also the pads that are cut up below. And up top, you see the fruit up that are either green or that nice, beautiful burgundy color. And bottom right, you can see the pads cut up and being added to tacos or cut and used in tacos.
Maybe
Is
you
that
can see right
the
here.
nopal?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so this one I purchased it like yesterday, and it has about, I would say, 3 to 4 leaves, and it costs about $5. So there is money right there. And can you all see the fruit right there? That's the green variety. And so there are different colors.
So they have some that are ripe. They are green when they're ripe, and
Yes.
then they also have some that are the beautiful burgundy color when they're ripe. And Mila just cut one open here, and you can see on the inside, you can see the seeds. You can see that the green one is kind of a whitish color on the inside. And the fruits are eaten as fresh fruit. They can be used to make jelly, juice, candy. They are in alcoholic drinks in Mexico, Eritrea, Malta. The young leaves are edible and are used in Mexican food, just like we talked about. And what are different names for the pads, like nopal,
Nopales,
tuna,
nopalitos, tuna.
nopalitos? And then in Eritrea, is this the fruit or
The fruit, yeah.
The fruit is known as
Beles.
Beles. And high nutritional value, you got vitamin B, C, fiber, and essential minerals.
Okay, and this is what I do for comparison. And with dragon fruit, of course, dragon fruit is still a cactus, but it's completely different scientific name. It's not an opuntia, but the consistency and the flavor probably is about the same. I would say this cactus has more flavor than the other one. And if you compare the prices, like I was checking the prices yesterday for one dragon fruit, it was like $8 for one of them. Compared to this one, usually they are $2 or $3 for $1, so you still can get. And if you get the red ones or the orange, you end up having about the same product for much lower price.
Okay, we'll move on to Chinese cabbage or Napa cabbage. It is high in folic acid, vitamin C, vitamin B, vitamin K, antioxidants. It's low in calories, high in fiber. It's very versatile, great for stir fries, stews. It can be cooked a little or a lot. You can also use it raw or in a salad. Very popular in Korean food to make kimchi.
And I think the most popular, at least something that everybody likes, is kimchi. If you are into fermented food, very easy to make. I have tried this purple Napa cabbage, and the kimchi is beautiful with all the orange colors and everything. That's something to try. And the flavor is about the same thing that with the green Napa cabbage.
And one of the additional benefits of working here at Southern with Miss Mila is that she knows how to cook a lot of these things. And twice a year, we have a garden workshop. We have a spring garden workshop, which we just had, and we have a fall garden workshop. And I think we're kind of known for having a very versatile lunch menu at each of those workshops. And we do try to really stay on theme for whatever the workshop is. And like I said, Mila's got the knowledge and she's generous enough to share it with all of us. So if you ever have a chance to attend one of those, you're definitely invited. Okay?
Okay, so the other one is cucuzza. And so probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so probably what again, my thing, because I I have a business, probably I always push for to make money. We sell them at the farmer's market, of course, to a cheaper price than anywhere else. And so we charge for any gourd about $2 a piece. Last year, we planted only 4 plants, and every harvest, twice a week, we were harvesting close to 100 gourds, only with 4 plants. If you do your math, you see how much money we did for over 20 weeks, just out of 4 plants. And it's a plant that has become very popular. Cucuzza is mostly in Louisiana, at least it's very popular with the Italian community. And so I see so many happy faces when they see those gourds at the farmer's market. But it's not only the farmer's market, of course. Again, the same plant is called different names in different cultures. If I sell it like snake gourd for Indian community, it's also another big vegetable that they like too. So depending, who buying it under different names. But it's really nice, and something we have tried over here is different recipes. Of course, the way the Italian do it, they do it like with tomato sauce, like a spaghetti sauce, but we have tried pickles and even candies and so many varieties. There's always something. And of course, stir fry is really good. And so we go to this one, and the leaves. This is a huge gourd plant. And so there is a point when you just can't even harvest that many. So you can eat the leaves. This is the Italian name, tenerumi. And so you harvest just the shoots, and the stir fryer, they are really good. So it's another green that you can use in the summer.
So Mila, you mentioned out of 4 plants, you got hundreds of pounds of the cucuzza squash. So that one plant, how many feet do you think it covers, or how long does that vine get?
Oh, I will say just one plant will cover maybe no less than 25 square feet. So
Yeah.
it's big. And so we use probably like I would say a quarter of an acre for 4 plants.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big space, and you don't have to cut the grass.
That's right. You don't have to cut the grass. Okay, next is elderberry flowers and fruit. Those of us in Louisiana, down here in South Louisiana, on the side of the roads around May, you can see the big, beautiful white blooms of the elderberry on the side of the road. And if you're lucky enough to have it in your yard or on your property, the flowers, it says the blooms are a key component of traditional tea blend to reduce fever. A concoction of elderflower, yarrow, and mint is a great fever fighter and was often used historically for measles and chickenpox. So the bloom itself, the white bloom, is really beneficial. I know that you can take baths with them. You can make lemonade with the blooms as well. And then the elderberry fruit itself. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to mention, and when we're talking about foraging, and this goes for mostly for these things, we have to be careful where we harvest, because sometimes they spraying very toxic herbicides along the road. So that's something that you have to know where you are harvesting from.
And elderberry, the plant itself is very hardy. It grows, it's very strong. And once the flowers are done blooming, you get the fruit on there. And so it says the flowers and fruit are incorporated in remedies to reduce cold and flu symptoms, for inflammation and respiratory diseases. They taste delicious and can be used as a tea, a tincture, or a syrup. So I know personally I've taken the elderberry berries, and then I've cooked them down on the stove with sugar to make that syrup. And it's something that I enjoy giving to my kids, because I know I'm giving them something with high nutritional value, but also they enjoy taking it as well.
Yay. I think we have a couple questions in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah. So going back a little bit to our cactuses, we had a question that is about your experience with Opuntia. I'm sorry if I'm it's the
Opuntia is
same.
the same, yes.
Okay. Are the varieties usually spineless, or are they producers growing varieties and expecting to remove the spines?
Yes. And
Mhm.
the plant, well, even the one that's spineless, you still have to clean it because you still will have those little tiny things, and that's the reasons why, to save time. Even myself, I buy it already clean and cut, but if you have to have a very sharp knife and wear gloves in order to clean, because you have to clean every little eye, because that's where all the little thorns are. And so and it's painful. I mean, once they go in the skin, but yeah, those are the same thing. Now, with the cactus that you use for vegetable, of course, always going to stay short because you are harvesting the leaves all the time. If you want it for fruit, of course, it has to grow high enough to produce flowers and fruit. So it's the same plant, but when you use it for vegetable, it will stay. You just harvest only the younger leaves, and of course, you won't give it chance to make the fruit. And
Oh,
so, yeah. But when we come to Opuntia, I think I would say 5 years ago, it was a big, they used to have commercials and everything. That was the cure-all thing, and they were advertising it for everything, and it was very expensive, but it's the same fruit.
Nice. Okay. And then I think this may be something that we can circle back to as well at the end, but so far we have a question as well, wondering about really small spaces, which I know y'all focus a lot on those urban small spaces. So which of these so far that we've covered would be a really good fit for those smaller spaces?
Maybe all of them except the cucuzza.
Yeah, even the bitter melon can be trellised, for a small space. It can be grown in a container and then have something to grow up. The Chinese cabbage is small, stay in a small space, maybe just needs a foot area to grow in. Cucuzza, no. Elderberry, that's something that you can forage, which is helpful, which tells you that you don't have to grow it. You can just know the correct times of year to be able to harvest the flowers and the berries. Let's see, I'm going ahead of ourselves.
And then
Yeah.
perhaps Miss Mila, you might know this with your work with Breda. As far as like the farmers market, is there any certifications that you suggest for farmers trying to sell these like produces or license or maybe plant starts?
Okay, well, the rules keep changing, but the only thing that, of course, at least realistic farmers market is producers only, and you don't need a certification. But what happened is, after the application, um, the farmer manager and the person in charge of outreach, they will go to visit the farm to make sure you produce it your own, that you are not uh, getting from a wholesaler and selling it. So that's the only thing. Of course, when it comes to food preparation, they have to have a certified kitchen. But when it comes to just vegetables, no, there is no licensing or anything. Of course, for example, in my case and the other plant vendor, large vendor, of course, you have to have a nursery license or greenhouse license. And that's mostly for economical reasons, because with that license, you are allowed to buy wholesale and you are allowed to buy so many things, which probably will be harder if you don't have the license. But that's the only certification you need, and mostly being approved by the market and get inspected. This is something that we are lucky enough, if anyone has experience going to Breda, to the registered farmers market, the quality have stayed, even though we don't have too many farmers, but it's always because it's not only one visit they make, sporadically they go back and visit again. And so the quality has stayed right there.
Yeah, they do such a good job. I mean, as do y'all with y'all's Jag Fresh market as well, right? Like that's a great start as well for farmers.
Yes.
And I love to tell my students that I'm working with that you can start growing vegetables, and under a certain amount of, thousands of dollars, you're able to, you don't need any permits to be able to sell them. So it's a great way to allow Mother Nature to help you generate some income. Same thing with
Yes.
cutting grass,
Yes, for sure. I know there might be like a nursery license if you're selling plant starts.
That's right.
I think I remember that from my time as a market manager, but um, yeah, and then Chelsea's just responding that some markets are producers only.
Yes.
So, like we're talking about. So, yeah, for sure. If you're growing these, though, there's opportunities to, get them out into the community as well.
Absolutely. And the best part is you don't have to produce big amounts, even small acreage, half an acre, 1 acre, depending on what you are doing. It will give you a good income.
Yeah.
So we go back to
mhm.
okay. Any comment?
That's all the questions
Okay.
for now? Okay, great.
So the next plant is what is called hoja santa. Oh, I didn't bring any. Another one native to Latin America, native to Mexico and South America, is close relative to the black pepper plant. Still, as you can see right here in the picture, those little white spikes, those are the flowers, and they will put some little berries. And so, but what is used for this plant is the leaf. If you go to any Latin America or, well, I would say, I hate to keep calling Mexican everything, but probably it's the most popular. If you go to any area in the Mexican store, you will find the dry leaves because it's also used as a seasoning, but the fresh leaves are used as a vegetable too. It has this nice anise flavor. It's not strong enough so that you can use it for cooking and give good flavor, but also it can be used for wrapping, like wrapping fish or different dishes right there. So it's very versatile. And another thing that I didn't know, they make chocolate truffles and it's supposed to be so good. And so you use it all the time. The only thing that I will caution is it grows very, I wouldn't call it invasive, but it's kind of, it grows very fast. So you have to control it in order to keep it contained in one place. But if you are growing it for selling, more power to you. You have more leaves right there, So that's the only thing I would say about the plant.
Okay, the next one is Panama red hibiscus, and you can see by the leaves of it, the leaves itself are a very beautiful burgundy color, and the flower as well. So this one is also known as cranberry hibiscus, a tender perennial shrub in the mallow family, native to tropical Eastern Africa. White flowers might be the first when you hear the name of hibiscus, but the deep purple red foliage is what makes this shrub stand out. It's an edible vegetable that can be eaten raw or cooked, especially the leaves and flowers. So this is not the traditional tropical hibiscus that we see at the plant nurseries all the way through the summer and all. This one has that red foliage that can be harvested and can actually be eaten in salads and can be cooked as well. It says a natural dye that can color teas and other beverages. So it's very beautiful, Panama red. And I know the best place to get it is from Miss Mila.
It's an annual plant.
It's a what?
Annual.
It's an annual. Yeah. Very good. So you'll have to get one every year.
Okay, and so the other one is loofah. I think we all are used to describing loofahs, and probably that's something that more people is familiar with. But also they can be eaten when they are very young. There are two varieties, and we decided to just include only loofah species because both of them they can be eaten. As you see, this one is like a rigid. You can see in the picture right there, but that doesn't mean that you don't eat the other one, the round one. Now, the round one is way much bigger, and it will take more space. This one is a smaller variety, and for those that they were asking for smaller spaces, probably the rigid loofah will be better. The size of mature loofah probably will be like 6 to 8 inches, compared to the other one, it will be like 18 inches long. So it depending on the space, but 2 of them are edible. The point is that you harvest them. That's what is called Chinese okra, because you harvest them when they are very young. They still with the blossom on the bottom. They are very tender. And so as if any one of you have grown loofah, they are very prolific. They have so many, so and you can have the 2 uses. You can just keep eating the babies and leave some for scrubbing at the end of the season. So you can just let them go right there. And of course, look at the picture right here, how stir fry is really good, or curries, and very low in cholesterol. Of course, it's high in fiber. Again, don't let it go too mature, because you won't be you just will be chewing it. It's just too much fiber on it. But it has vitamin C, riboflavin, zinc, thiamine, iron, magnesium, and manganese. So a bunch of nutrients right there. Okay, so let's talk about the lotus. And this is probably something that is very prolific right here in the swampy areas in the Gulf. I know they grow everywhere, and that's a way to control it. Like instead of calling it invasive, we harvest them. You can eat the leaves. You can harvest the pod after they finish the flower, and then you can eat the seed. You can roast them, and you can eat them raw. And of course, you can pull out the whole plant. And this is so on one side you can eat the seed, but also you can pull out the whole plant, and this is what you find at the Asian stores. And so you find it like it's showing in this picture. You find the whole rhizome, and then they slice it, and these are the seeds that you just harvest when the seed pod is ripe, is green, and then you pull the whole plant, and this is what you have right there. They slice it. And I know in some places even they dry it and you eat it like chips. So there are so many uses for the lotus. And that's something that we have very abundant right here. I know in some areas they even have problems that it just get kind of invasive. So that's a way to control it.
So melitong is our next vegetable, and that is something that we're likely familiar with here in South Louisiana. Once a backyard staple in South Louisiana, heirloom melitons were nearly destroyed by Hurricanes Katrina, Rita, and Gustav. Melitons are a special perennial squash that have been grown for 200 years in Louisiana. Once the vine gets about a foot long, it can be planted during the spring and will produce fruit mostly during the fall. So this is the meliton, just like in the photo, and you can see on the left-hand side is a meliton once it begins to sprout. And our instructions on the previous slide say once the vine gets about a foot long, it can be planted during the spring. So you've got to help your meliton to sprout. Make sure that it is native meliton, if I can put it that way, because you can buy melitons at the store, and even if they sprout, they're not going to grow here in Louisiana. It has to be one that does well in our climate. And I know to get my melitons like that, I go to Ms. Mila. So I don't know if there are other avenues in making sure that you're getting a meliton that's going to grow.
Well, I think, and probably some of you know more about this, even there is a non-profit organization trying to preserve the meliton. And so they started from New Orleans, and I think they put you on the waiting list, I assume, in order to get the native, local or native meliton, what it's called. Because definitely, like Stephanie mentioned, if you get it from the store, you can have it sprouting, but it won't survive because they come from a different weather, different probably species or varieties. So it's very hard. It has to be the local meliton.
And what are some other names?
So this is another thing that it goes with so many names, and depending where they call it chocho, whiskill, vegetable pears. So it depending on where we are. That's chayotes.
Coyote pear.
Yeah.
Alligator.
Alligator pear.
And in the picture, is that seafood stuff?
Okay, and so that's, of course, you're from Louisiana, you know, that's the way we eat in Louisiana with some stuff with seafood and I think some the dressing. So,
Yeah.
And it should be for what, Thanksgiving?
Sounds good to me. I could eat them all right now. I'm very hungry watching this. I'm sure you guys are too. All right. Right here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
No?
Wait.
Yes?
Yes, that's the
Yes.
Molokhia.
Okay.
You talking about Molokhia or me?
I really like this one. Yeah.
So, Molokhia is also again is in some mostly Middle East is known as Molokhia, but if you talk to Africans in general, Africans they will call it jute plant, and so it's a plant that it will produce fiber, and so but it's a staple all over the Middle East. And what they do down there, because it's a fast-growing plant, they don't even harvest. They pull the whole plant, and that's the way you find it in the market. And then you just keep pulling the leaves. In our case, and this is again going back to marketing, we have been growing it for several years. And so we don't even have time to bring it to market because if Middle Eastern people know that we have it, they will come to the house and buy it. And also there is a restaurant that they just they will buy the whole crop. So every time, so most of the time we just harvest and just deliver it to the restaurant, and because you don't find it fresh. Of course, if you go to a Middle Eastern store, you find it dry or frozen, but of course it won't be the same as this one. Very easy to grow, fast growing, and something. So they make some seed pods, like a little tiny okras. In China, they harvest the little pods and they stir fry them like a baby okra. So that's another use for the plant. But in the Middle East, mostly it's a stew like gumbo, and the main meat to use is either rabbit or duck. The upper picture, again, I use my husband as a model. And so right here, they are harvesting with the other person right there. He was a professor at the university who just retired, and so harvesting the Molokhia, it gets really tall, and you have to harvest probably once a week in order to keep it to certain height. But it's really delicious. It's like a substitute for okra. It has some like kind of thickening, slimy consistent, but it's really good.
And to harvest, you just harvest off the tops.
We just harvest what is called ratooning, I assume in horticulture or agriculture or whatever. So you just keep cutting branches and keep growing again. So you're always going to have the tender leaves.
And the seed pod has the seeds inside of it, and they're kind of like a cool triangle, almost like bluish color naturally.
Yeah, yes.
They're very beautiful. And of course, like we talked about earlier, to be able to come from a Middle Eastern country down to South Louisiana and find fresh Molokhia can really, really fill your heart up. So that's a wonderful way to feel at home and have comfort. Malabar spinach.
Malabar spinach. Right there, the two colors. So again, this is a very small, I will call it small vine. When we start growing, if you have a fence, any fence, the plant is beautiful. It has very shiny leaves, and there are two colors, red stem and the green ones. Even if you don't eat it, the red is so beautiful.
They're very pretty.
And you can make dye from the berries, from the red ones, and you can just put it in your bread or whatever, so you can extract the color in order to color in your food. Very easy to grow. Once you have it, you can keep saving the seed and they can keep growing very fast. Now, the advice I give, and probably some of you have tried this spinach, you have to cook it. You have to stir fry to have it a better flavor because it's the consistent. Some people don't like the, it's a little fleshy. And so it has that kind of, what I would say, slimy flavor, but stir fried is great. And this is some of our best sellers, like these plants that have brought down here, those are the ones we sell at the farmers market in those 4 inches, and we never have enough to sell. I have people waiting for them right now.
So they would need something to grow up as well.
Just a tomato cache will be enough for this one, or a fence. It's very small.
I've noticed in my experience, the seeds will drop and they'll come back.
They come back again.
Yeah,
yes.
So very strong, very beautiful. Doesn't take up too much space.
Now, slugs is a problem with this plant. So you have to make sure you don't have slugs, just use some leftover beer and give them beer traps. And so you will be good to go with those.
Do the berries affect the flavor at all? Like once the berries start forming, are the greens still good to harvest, or is it similar to like other greens where once it starts fruiting?
No, it doesn't. That's one of the vegetables doesn't change flavor. You just keep harvesting by the leaf. The older the vine, the bigger the leaf it gets, and doesn't change any flavor. Now, like I was mentioning about the red berries, they just harvest the berries and they extract the coloring. And so of course, one of my favorite companies is Baker Creek, and they have some beautiful picture making pasta with that red thread coloring with those berries. So yeah.
And it's a really great, very strong plant to grow in the summertime. And it's, again, another summer green that you can grow. So moringa.
No, I didn't bring a plant. I forgot. That's another plant that to me sometimes has been so much right now in demand. Like everybody wants to have a moringa plant. Again, is native from Asia, and so they use it as a vegetable. They use it, the leaf, or put it in broth or soup. Philippines, I think, is really big in using moringa. They dry it, and also they add it to bread to enrich the flour, and it has the beautiful green bread rolls. So it's something that they use, but it can be used for everything. And like you see right here, these are the seed pods. This is what is called bread sticks, and mostly in India and Sri Lanka, this is what they want. They don't grow in too much for the leaf, but they grow it for the drumsticks. And so what they do, they harvest very young the pods, and then they chop them and they use it for curries. So that's something that with the time I have learned how different groups they use it, but it's extremely rich in nutrients. As you might know, they even sell the powder as a supplement for so like a protein supplement. Yes.
All right, this one is portulaca or verdulaga, and it grows here actually as a weed. We can see it through the cracks of our concrete. We can see it in our fields, and it is actually something that can be harvested and consumed, and it has high levels of omega-3 fatty acids. If you look right here in the picture, this is something I know in Mexican culture, you can harvest it or you can purchase it at a grocery store, and it's used as a vegetable. It can be cooked down too and sauteed. And like I said, it's very high in the omega-3 fatty acids. And this is something, like I said, grows here as a weed. So if you see it, if it's not sprayed, you can harvest it yourself and consume it as well, because it has high nutritional value.
The only difference between what we call weed and the cultivated variety, as you can see right here, the leaf is much bigger. And so that's the only difference. It's more upright, so you can, like you saw in the picture, you can harvest the harvesting in bundles, but it's the same plant. If you have it, again, make sure when you harvest it, if you forage, it doesn't have to be sprayed, and but it's about the same flavor. And so yeah. Pigeon peas.
We have a plant with this.
So we have a plant with that one, and also it is so popular, mostly in the Caribbean, that you will find, let's see, somewhere down here, maybe back somewhere right there. Let's see. You find it frozen or canned, and this is what is used for making the rice and peas in any Caribbean country you go. Those are the rice and peas, and they use coconut milk and everything. I'm trying to
Show the
Yeah,
pigeon
this is a shrub, and it makes those beautiful yellow and red flowers. And this is one of the things that have changed with the weather. About when I started working at Southern University, which is a zillion years ago, we tried to grow it. One professor from Jamaica brought it, and it has a long growing period. So you couldn't harvest them by the time it started producing flowers and the fruit. It was almost freezing time. So then we got some varieties from Panama, which is they had developed a much shorter variety, and that's the variety we are growing right now. So if you plant it in the spring, by July, August, your plant start producing already. So I know people that they harvest all the way until the fall. But of course, it's also the weather has changed so much. So now we are able to grow more down here. I never buy those peas. I always have enough plants at home in order to harvest and cook them.
So on the can it says gandules, and it says pigeon peas known as gandules right here on the can. And just like Mila mentioned, a lot of these are tropical plants, and we live in a subtropical climate. So that's why making sure to start these plants at the appropriate time, sometimes a little bit early indoors. That way we do make sure it can go through growing the vegetation, growing the flowers, and then we can get the fruit from it. So timing is really important on a lot of these plants. I know for the pigeon peas, like you mentioned, and then being able to find varieties that produce in a shorter amount of time is really important. And the hibiscus roselle is a plant like that as well. And this is, as our background shows, this is definitely one of our, we're very proud of this plant. We're very proud of the work that we've done with this plant. Just proud of the plant in general, how drought tolerant it is, how much it can produce. But this is hibiscus roselle or hibiscus sabdariffa, and it's a plant that you need to start indoor at the right time so that it can go through the growing the leaves, growing the flower, and then producing the calyx. So how old would you say this plant is right here?
Those plants, we grew them, we started, our time to start it is around Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
So that's how to remember. So February, so that from February to now, I don't know if probably you can have a close up, but it's already producing blossoms. So if you see it close by, it's already has right there. So this plant is ready to go into the field, and you should be having fruits maybe in about a month from now. And if we were going to mention something about the special about this plant is that for a long time we have been growing at Southern University. There is a branch of that research. Stephanie and I, we do the extension part, trying to work with farmers. We are traditionally we have grown them for several farmers, but we have somebody that my student grow all the plants for her. As a matter of fact, I took them yesterday. We grew 800 plants for her, and that she planted all those plants in her garden, in her farm. So she sells hibiscus year round at the Red Stick Farmers Market. And so she keeps trying different things. She does a bunch of jellies with different type of peppers. She makes jams.
This one has habanero.
That habanero, she make jelly. And also she start doing simple syrup with this thing. And all of these plants they have been grown at Southern University. And so with that one, she just keep harvesting for the whole year. So I think, and not only this farmer, but we have a group of farmers in St. Helena Parish. We do it's traditionally they expect that we are going to grow it for them. And lucky enough, my students always, so it's a win-win because the students learn how to grow it. It's a great experience for them. And at the same time, we help the farmers in the community.
And it's a great plant that, because a lot of the extension work that we have done has become very popular here in Louisiana because we have the right climate to grow it. Luckily, the plant, if you start it at the right time, you get it out into your field, it kind of takes care of itself, which is really popular for farmers, right? And then not only do you have the red part that you're harvesting, the calyx, but you can make so many value-added products with it, just like we had right here, the simple syrup, the jellies. You can dry
The dry ones.
This can be found at like the Mexican markets. Right here it says hibiscus flower, flor de Jamaica. So right here, it's all here. This is something that I really like to make and add some different other calming herbs into it, and I give it to my kids at home. I have 3 kids at home. I've noticed if I'm giving them sugar and they're drinking Kool-Aid, we're not having a good day on the weekend. But if we're having hibiscus tea, everybody's cool and calm. So again, it's something that grows easily. It's something that we've been able to push with our extension work. I know that also the seeds save really well, just like okra. So that's really helpful for having something year after year after year. And then something to take away about the hibiscus roselle is just to make sure you start your seeds around Mardi Gras time if you're in Louisiana and you want to grow as well. So not only the calyx is consumed, also the leaves.
And so, and the leaves, that's the Indian word for the hibiscus leaves. Now, and this is something, again, in the Western world, we eat the fruit. In the Eastern world, they eat the leaves. Only in the Middle East, they use also the calyx for during fasting season. That's the only drink that they drink in the morning. But like India, Asia, and the other places, they plant it just for the leaves. Of course, then the planting condition is different. The planting more crowded because the only thing that you are after is the leaves, so you don't want the fruit. So it's like it's planted like Molokhia. So because the only thing you are harvesting is the leaves. The next one, probably we all, since we are in Louisiana, of course, we eat sweet potatoes. Again, it's something that I always mention, we don't mix sweet potatoes with yams. Of course, we call it yams around here, but these are the sweet potatoes. And so probably what we are mostly talking about here is eating the greens. Is something that is right here with all the sweet potato growing. That's something that is a waste resource. Something I've been trying to encourage small farmers is to also harvest the green and trying to sell it. If you have an ethnic market or somewhere, they will buy from you. And so, and this is good because, you know, like I don't know if anyone has experience growing sweet potatoes. The problem is say it again. Growing sweet potatoes, the problem is with weevils. And so, but if you grow it only for the greens, probably you don't have to worry about the weevils. You know, you just have harvesting for foliage. This is a great experience I have, and that's what I included this picture. So I've been working with Cuban farmers for the last couple of years. And so, of course, they are very big in all the root crops. And so when we visit, that I think it was in the fall, every garden was full of sweet potatoes. I mean, like everywhere. And so, and the thing is like, you know, you can eat the sweet potatoes, and everybody was so amazed. So here, this is, I included the picture right here because on Sunday, they made me do a demonstration, so we end up cooking those greens, and I think it's something that is staying with them because all the time I get report like, oh yeah, we still are eating the sweet potato green. So that's something that I think that's our mission in order to introduce people with something like that. Probably you know that in Cuba there are not too many resources, so anything for them is really they appreciate it. You know, one more thing that they can include in their diet.
That's right. And as you can tell, Ms. Mila is well-traveled and very knowledgeable.
Okay, so shiso.
Okay, shiso is a really beautiful plant. If you've never grown it, we encourage you to try.
If you see the upper picture right there, there are so many varieties of shiso. So like you see the curly one right there on the top. Yes. This one, I think Stephanie has better luck with me showing. So this one is the Korean one, the one on the upper leaf. Right here, the aroma is
They're all
different than the other ones. And also we have the purple shiso, which is also great for coloring, like doing salad dressing or something. I don't know if any one of you have experience eating Asian food, but Japanese, they make tempura with them. It is, so they usually they look for the bigger leaf, like this variety, because they will be big enough to deep fry it. So there are so many uses. And of course, that's one of the main ingredients for sashimi, to make the dipping sauce. So, or use it in salad. So it has so many uses. This is again one of those plants that only I'm insane enough to grow them, but I have people that they just come to me just to look for the different varieties of shiso, because that's the only place where they are going to find it. And that's the point. You have to have your niche. And so, you know, regardless, they always going to come and looking for you for those things. Look how, again, like Stephanie saying, we are hungry to see all those pretty pictures right here. So I chose this picture because that's something that we can try ourselves. That's another thing, you know, like you make it too foreign, like a sashimi or tempura. Probably it might be intimidating, but you can make salsa and add some shiso to that, and it's really good.
And it's a beautiful plant to put in a community garden or a school garden. And first of all, it looks good, but if you go over and rub the leaf and have the smell of it, it really it attracts kids to say, wow, you know, that's amazing. So it's a great plant to have.
Yeah, it's great for a sensory garden.
Sensory
it has
garden.
nice aroma. Yeah.
All right, taro leaves and roots. I know you brought it.
So yeah, so most of you are familiar with elephant ears. And so, but all the elephant ears are edible. The one that is edible is the one that we have the rhizomes, these big roots right here. As you can see, this one started sprouting already. So there are some small ones, some large ones, but that's the one is used. Of course, it has to be cooked, because the leaf, they have oxalic acid, and if you eat it, just try to eat it raw, it will burn you. It will give you some, you know, the juice coming out of that. But it's very popular in the Caribbean, and this is one example I was mentioning about callaloo. In some island, they call callaloo to the taro leaves. In Jamaica, callaloo is amaranth. So that's something that also we have to know. In some places also called spinach. I think in Cuba they call it the spinach. So it's something that is very important to know. But of course, this one they can be cooked like a collard greens. And so you see, for example, if anybody has been in Hawaii, poi is the national dish, and that's the plant that is used to make it. And so, very easy to grow right here. Of course, you know, you can grow elephant ears, you can grow taro.
And what was the other name of the root that you were telling me?
Dashin.
No, starts with a G.
There are so many now.
I saw it at the grocery store the other day, and I didn't know it was talking about taro. Gongula? So many names. Yeah. So this is one where you can eat the leaves and the roots of it. Just making sure that you're cooking what needs to be cooked.
Yes.
All right. Next we have tomatillo.
Tomatillos.
Got one of those right here. They have beautiful flowers on them. And tomatillos can be grown very similarly to a tomato plant. You want to make sure that it has a spot in full sun with well-drained, moderately rich soil. They're lighter feeders than tomatoes, and they do not fare well in soggy or poorly drained soil. So make sure you have good drainage, and it's not going to be as needy as a tomato plant even. And we have some of the fruit here too.
One of the questions I always get is like, what do I do with the tomatillo? You know, it has a husk.
So you buy them at the store like this, or you grow them and they look like this?
Correct.
Yes. And then just peeling them is next.
And this one, it has to be cooked, either grill or cook before you make a salsa. It doesn't taste well if you do it raw. You can make the raw salsa, but then you have to cook it like in a stew or something, but it has to be cooked. And what is great about this one is already self-spice. It has a tart flavor, so you don't need to add too much like a vinegar or lime or lemon. So that should be the way you do it. That's one of the plants that we have seen evolving. Probably around 10, 15 years, you couldn't grow tomatillos right here, but now it's, of course, they have improved varieties. You can get, this is toma verde, and so it makes really big, nice fruits. So it's something that is now we are able to grow it right here in Louisiana.
Okay. All right, next is turmeric.
Any questions so far?
Nope, y'all are rocking and rolling.
Okay.
Shall I break it? Okay. So here's the turmeric or turmeric root. It has a warm, bitter taste and is frequently used to add flavor or color to curry powders, mustards, butters, and cheeses. Because of curcumin and other chemicals, the turmeric might decrease swelling and is often used to treat conditions that involve pain and inflammation. And it is beautiful on the inside. Here's the root. Did you dig this out? This is fresh, y'all. I can tell. It's got dirt on it. It's still cool from the soil underneath the ground. And it's very beautiful. So things like yellow rice, this is what's used to color the yellow rice or curries. And it is very, very, very good for you. We encourage you guys to look up all the benefits of turmeric.
And this is a plant that, again, it has become more hardy for our winters. It overwinters now. It's not like the regular ginger. It still is very sensitive, but this one, you can leave it in the ground and it come back again. This is from a plant I have in my garden. So still, even with the hard freeze this year, it survived. And it's a beautiful plant. It's in the ginger family. And so it makes those pretty flowers. So it can be in a container. You can have it as an ornamental plant in your garden. And of course, you don't need too much. You don't have to pull the whole root. You just pull a piece if you need it for cooking, and so it will keep propagating. That's one of probably a nice plant to be growing as an ornamental plant.
Okay, yam.
So this is what I was mentioning when we were talking about sweet potatoes. Over here we call sweet potatoes yam. That's not the same plant. And so this is the true yam, and that's a plant. It's a vine.
So the picture.
So look how pretty it is. And so there are probably the most popular varieties, the yellow yam, and so but it's also white. It cooks like a potato, so it has to be peeled. And that's a staple probably in some places like Central Africa or West Africa. It's used down there. I was in Haiti. There were so many plantations of these yam, so probably it's as popular as sweet potato, but I would say it's more yam is more universally used because it's very starchy food. So it's very nutritious food, and so it has great flavor.
And so in just an hour and 15 minutes, we have taken you all on a trip around the world, not only culinary, but horticulturally, right? These plants that we've gone over and the plants that are in the ethnic vegetable guide are from all over the world. And I think that being able to learn about them, know that they grow in our subtropical climate, and start to grow them is something that can, like we talked about, increase revenue on your garden or your farm, increase inclusivity with students that you're working with at schools or in community gardens or at churches, and also get creative culinary and help you out nutritionally because of all of the high density nutrition, minerals, and vitamins that are in every single one of these that we just went over. So it's all there.
And probably what we can leave you is that everything we have shown down here, it can be growing in Louisiana.
That's right.
And so we have proved that we are able to grow it. And so, yeah.
And the proof is in the pudding, and Miss Mila got the pudding. So everything that was talked about, I know that she has grown. I've grown a lot of them myself, and it's not only things that you can eat and that are beautiful, but they do really well down here. So I'm excited for you all that are interested in trying some of the new things, and we are here. If you have any questions, here's the resources. I know that you guys put the link for the ethnic vegetable planting guide in the chat, but this is also where it is, that top link. Some of the information can be found on the specialty crops with the USDA.
Yes. And that's the point probably we like to do. They have become so popular, all the specialty, well, it's not called ethnic vegetable, it's called specialty crops. But there is, if anyone is interested in going deeper in this, there is enough money, or at least there was money. I don't know if those funding have been cut. But the Department of Agriculture right here in Louisiana, it has a specialty crop grant program. And of course, USDA has so much information on specialty crops. You can just go there and get lost in all this information. There was money in there, so I don't know with the new farm bill how it's going to be, but still the information. I checked it yesterday to make sure those websites still are, and they still you can find all the information right there. Okay, so any questions, anyone?
That was great. There was also lots of great information shared in the chat. Seed companies, other resources, market information, and somebody is requesting the complete recipe book next. So maybe that's the next project.
Is that the next project?
If you need any more projects,
talk about
right?
that. It's in the
If
works.
you need it. That was great. And yeah, the recording will live on.
Yeah, but by the way, Southern University had developed a couple of recipes on hibiscus and chutney and jelly, and also we have some recipe for tomatillo sauce. I don't know if I have it available right now. We should have put it in the chat box, but they want to reach out. We have the recipes right there.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. We'll wrap right here and we can go about our days, but with
Thank you
so
guys.
much more
Thank you
growing
so
knowledge,
much.
right?
It was so much fun.
Thank you for the opportunity.
For sure, for sure. Appreciate everyone for coming in and hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you so much.